Good morning. I'm David Johnson with Johnson Nursery. I'm in the gardens of southeastern North Carolina with a special guest. This is Erin Terry. Erin, who are you?
Hi, I'm Erin Terry. I'm here on behalf of Midnight Bee Supply. We are a beekeeping supplier based out of Vass, North Carolina. We manufacture our own wooden hives on site. We also sell a full line of beekeeping equipment. We have since forayed also into garden supplies, which is part of how we got to meet the great folks out here at Johnson. We also offer workshops and classes and interface with our local beekeepers.
All right, so we've got an expert here, which I'm not, but I'm an expert at asking questions. So today, for about 10 minutes, I'm going to ask Erin a little bit about what little I know, and she'll verify it. Erin, we have 8 boxes on site that you provided, and my understanding is that each box has around 5,000 bees.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the size of a hive, we usually talk about it per box. So what you have on site is 8 hives, and each one currently actually has 2 deep boxes on it. So in each box, we could have anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 bees approximately at this time of year. And you actually have doubled that since they arrived here on site. So we're up to 2 boxes per hive for your hives.
And who actually counts the bees? Is that your job?
No, that's definitely just an estimate.
Just an estimate. Okay. All right. And they've been very active. I've had so much fun walking around, seeing the bees. They're everywhere. And I've yet to be stung, yet to even be intimidated at all by the bees. So my next question is, how do the bees know what to do? Are there job descriptions, written job descriptions?
Yeah, there's definitely not a job board inside the hive. So most of the what we call task determination is actually age-based. So when a bee is born, her very first job is to clean out the cell.
Now you said her.
Yes, so almost all the bees in the hive are girls.
Interesting.
There's a very small percent, usually 10 to 15% during the nectar season, that are boys that we call drones. But drones don't perform any of these hive tasks.
Right.
Their only job is to mate with a queen.
Wow.
And so anytime we're talking about jobs in the hive, it's always going to be her and she, because all the workers are typically female.
Okay.
Yep, so she's born, she cleans out her cell. The first part of her life is typically spent inside the hive, so the youngest bees are caring for other babies and keeping things clean. And then there's sort of a middle phase where they can build wax. Their wax glands don't develop until a little later in their life, and they can take care of the hive. The next stage is sort of at the front door. They're guard bees, so those are the ones who are making sure that nobody's invading or stealing.
All right.
And then the oldest bees are the ones we call foragers, and they leave the hive to collect nectar, water, and pollen, and tree resins.
Interesting. So I'm seeing the foragers.
Yes.
And with lots of foragers. So how does a forager know which flower is good, which flower is not so good?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 ways that you might get there. A bee who's leaving the hive who hasn't got any information might just go exploring.
Okay.
But more typically, somebody has come home with information. So a sister has come home, she has found something really exciting, and she's going to communicate that to the other bees by dance. And the primary way they do this is called the waggle dance.
The waggle dance.
Yep, and so, yeah, no, gosh, no. But
I can do it.
It's sort of like a figure 8. So she goes straight along the comb in a straight line, and she waggles her body. And she comes back around to the start, and she keeps repeating that dance, and every part of it has information in it. So the amount of time that she moves through that straight part, we call the waggle run, tells the bees how far away they have to fly.
Wow.
The angle she's on the comb compared to sort of true north tells them what angle from the sun they have to fly to find it. And then the number of times she repeats the dances sort of communicates the quality of the food source. More repeats means more excited, better quality.
Wow.
And so they have a really effective way of communicating, oh, I found something really great, everybody's got to go check it out.
That is so cool. And I'm going to learn the waggle dance to tell everybody where the next pizza and beer place is.
I can't pretend I've never done it for kids at kids events.
All right, fair enough. All right, so the forager goes out, finds something that she likes, sticks her proboscis in, extracts some nectar, which is what she's after.
Some of them, yeah.
But as a byproduct of this experience, she also will have pollen attached to her.
Okay, so that is true of some kinds of insects, but bees, part of the reason they're such good pollinators is that they actually collect pollen on purpose.
Okay.
So when a forager leaves the hive, she's only going to work on one thing at a time. She's going to collect nectar or pollen or water or tree resin. And additionally, if she is collecting nectar or pollen, she's only going to visit one kind of flower at a time. We call it flower fidelity. So she won't go from an apple to a cherry to, this and this. She goes out and she just works on the same kind of flower, visit, and then goes home. And so other insects or even other pollinators like birds and bats and things, they're visiting for sugary nectar and getting pollen incidentally, but bees, not just honeybees, but most bees collect pollen on purpose, and that's part of the reason they're very effective pollinators.
And do all bees have pollen baskets?
Absolutely not. So pollen baskets are a specialized structure on honeybees. It's on their backmost set of legs.
Right.
We sometimes call them the pollen pants. And so they'll have a visible pollen pack on their back legs when they're coming home. It's easiest to see on the front porch of the hive when the foragers are coming home. And she has packed pollen from multiple flowers, again of the same kind, into those specialized baskets to take it home, to be packed into the comb, ultimately fermented and turned into a food called bee bread.
This is so cool. All right, now the forager finishes. Does she know when she's full?
Oh, it's you're asking questions that animal behaviorists love. Like, how do bees know? They'll never tell us, unfortunately. We don't know. But there certainly seems to be a point, either based on time of day or weather or fullness, that she goes back home to unload and possibly go on another trip.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, they have two stomachs.
Yes.
They have one stomach for digestion, one stomach for nectar and water.
That's right. So when a forager's leaving and she's collecting nectar or she's collecting water, she is going to suck it up almost like she would food, but instead of passing into the digestive stomach, it stays in a structure that we often call the honey stomach.
Right.
And that's how she carries it home. So there's no special baskets for nectar. She's going to keep it in that internal structure, and then when she gets home, she can deposit it into the comb, again, to be processed. So that nectar, in this case, is going to be dried, and enzymes are going to be added to it. The sugars are going to be transformed until ultimately it's honey.
All right, so she gets back to the hive. I understand she goes to the forager lounge. She sits in the lounge chair, turned on the television, and then the others come in and clean her up.
Yeah, so very often when a forager comes home, especially if she's coming home with something like pollen or tree resins, she's going to call for her sisters to help her unpack.
Right.
It's a little bit easier with nectar and water for her to deposit, but she will very often call for grooming and things like that so that she's ready to go out on another flight.
Does she does multiple flights per day?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It depends, again, on the weather, on the time of day, on the age of the bee, but certainly foragers will keep working all day long.
That's amazing. All right, so we've got the bees have cleaned her up. And what have they done with the nectar and the pollen and the bee resin?
Yeah.
To go into the refrigerator or?
So for the most part, it's going to be packed into very specific sections of the hive. So they like things to be very organized.
Wow.
Kind of imagine the inside of the hive as looking like one of those diagrams of the layers of the earth from when you're in elementary school. So you have a core, a mantle, and a crust. In this case, the core is going to be the brood or the babies. And that's in the center. That's where we're keeping things the warmest, and that's where the most activity is. Outside of that, we typically have a layer of pollen, because pollen is what the workers eat in order to feed the brood. So we've got pollen right next to it. And then the outermost layer is typically the honey.
All right.
And so if you were to pull a frame out of the middle of the colony, you get what we call the rainbow, because you're getting a cross section of all of those spheres. So you get a layer of brood and a layer of pollen and a layer of honey. And then as the hive gets taller, all of the outer layers are honey. So the topmost boxes are all just honey, excess food for them to access throughout the year.
I can go on. Now, I do have a lot more questions.
Okay.
However, we are going to be together on July 25th on Saturday, or it's July 26th. On Saturday at 9 o'clock, we're going to do a walkthrough, but basically we're going to hear all of this again. We're going to tap into this wonderful experience and wisdom that Erin has. We're going to look at our beehives. So thank you for this information. There's a lot more to share. Hope to see you on the 26th. And Erin and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you so much. I look forward to being here.